Joy Behar calls her a 10. I mean, how dare she objectify a woman with a sexist rating system, but it's such a typical thing from a 1.5.
Well said.
The motives stink worse than Joy Behar's jog bra. I mean, assuming she jogs. Oh, wait, there she is. She has a point. Maybe I am obsessed, but some people are obsessed with Bigfoot, and they don't get to see him on TV every afternoon. And if they did, could they tell the two apart? I don't know.
Behar just got steamrolled by Greg Gutfeld and Tyrus. And let's just say it wasn't pretty. Think emotional damage meets stand-up comedy at a demolition site. You won't believe how Gutfeld turned Joy's smug smirk into a full-on existential crisis, live, uncensored, and accidentally hilarious. Tyrus. He just sat back, dropped one-liners like nukes, and watched her implode. Buckle up, because what you're about to see makes roast battles look like therapy sessions. Let's dive into the content.
The View, you don't need to find Trumpers. You need to fire your race baiters.
Yeah.
You need to fire the two races. You've had people. You had a McCain on there. You've had people on there before, and you ran them off. So the racist ones who want to stick to this, Whoopi and Sonny, and the, was it Bette Midler? What's her name? Yeah, broke-ass Bette Midler. Fire them and bring people in. Maybe you could get McCain to come back. She was a Republican, but every show and every break, she was nearly in tears.
She's been sitting comfortably atop the crumbling throne of daytime TV for so long, it's almost surprising no one bothered to laugh her out of the kingdom earlier. But then came Greg Gutfeld and Tyrus, armed not with torches and pitchforks but with something far more devastating: sarcasm, timing, and a platform. And just like that, the illusion of Joy's untouchable reign began to unravel faster than her attempts to relate to anyone who shops at a store without valet.
Accused Elon Musk of being pro-apartheid, but then begged him afterwards not to sue. Musk lawyers have yet to comment because they're still checking to see if it's legal to sue a cow.
Shots fired.
Just a legal question. I don't know why it's so upsetting. I don't make the rules in this country.
Make no mistake, there was no grand confrontation, no face-to-face showdown, no smoke-filled stage where Joy could shout over someone. This wasn't a debate. It was a televised surgical takedown executed without ever inviting the Queen herself. And that's what made it all the more savage.
Feral monsters of TheView say they've never heard of you-know-who. True, the show that makes mornings hell claim that my name doesn't ring a bell. It's time for...
Our view on The View. Ugh.
Yeah, the witch's coven finally shows me some lovin'. Yesterday on The View, yours truly was the subject of conversation. Apparently the broads have no idea who I am, or so they say.
Gutfeld, whose entire existence seems built on debunking media absurdities with the energy of a caffeinated stand-up comedian, didn't have to name names. He simply laid out the archetype: sanctimonious daytime hosts who shout into an echo chamber while sipping Chardonnay and pretending they understand the price of gas. If that doesn't describe Joy Behar in her natural habitat, then the earth is flat.
Talks about you all the time.
Who is he? Really, who is he?
I don't watch the show.
He has a show.
I don't watch the
never
show.
heard of him.
Yeah.
I guess he's just obsessed with me.
No. Next, Joy's going to say she's never heard of carbs. Seriously, her denial of knowing me is as believable as her red hair. But obsession? I mean, come on, Joy. Where would you even get that idea? Like Joy Behar's face, it's looking worse and worse by the day. More full of crap than Joy Behar after a night of scotch at Taco Bell. Her being named Joy is like me being named ugly. Joy wasn't there on the show. Apparently Mondays are her days off when she feeds in the pasture. It now smells like a humid day inside Joy Behar.
Meanwhile, Tyrus played his usual role of the soft-spoken executioner. No shouting, no overacting, just pure, uncut mockery served cold. While Joy continues to perform for a live audience that claps like Pavlov's dogs, Tyrus stares into the camera with a look that says, "Are we really still taking this woman seriously?" And viewers know exactly who he's talking about without him ever saying a word. This wasn't some spontaneous swipe, it was methodical, a segment built like a comedy hit job. Joy Behar, the emblem of self-satisfaction on a show that once claimed relevance, suddenly became the butt of a joke she wasn't invited to hear. And yet she was the only character in the sketch. Let's take a step back and admire how we got here. Behar's career is a highlight reel of misplaced outrage, historical hiccups, and opinions so detached from reality they make sci-fi sound like a documentary. She's like that one person at a party who insists on giving a TED talk about current events while mispronouncing half the countries. She speaks in absolutes, floats in her own bubble, and clings to applause like it's life itself.
This is what elitists do who can't, like, if you don't know who someone is, how did you know to automatically hate him? Like, I mean, that's how fake and full of she is. Gutfeld, never heard of him. Don't like him. Why? Cause why? That's why I just turned to one of my kids. Cause why?
Yeah.
Cause I don't know who he is. Never heard of him at all in my entire life. But why? Cause I don't know. Because they are the last TV show to talk about high turnover. We've been rolling 3 steady for a long time.
Yeah.
We don't take breaks in the commercial to get away from each other. Well, that's what the drinking's for.
Yes.
Megan McCain, how'd that go?
Yeah.
Rosie O'Donnell, or any of these previous fellow employees? Because one of the things they said was that no one walks away from money. Right?
Yeah.
So they got people running.
That's where the genius of Gutfeld comes in. Instead of going toe-to-toe, he just laughed. He didn't push back with counterants or fire and brimstone. He dismantled the ideological scaffolding Joy's been standing on for decades, using jokes, smirks, and the occasional eyebrow raise. It wasn't war. It was comedy as a wrecking ball. The absurdity is that Joy still thinks she's winning. She's the bandleader on a ship that hit the iceberg 2 hours ago. Everyone's on lifeboats, and she's still conducting the orchestra with gusto, unaware the water's up to her knees. Gutfeld and Tyrus didn't need to challenge her. Reality did that for them. They just turned the camera on and pointed. It helps that Joy's show, TheView, has evolved into something resembling performance art for the politically unwell. What started as a talk show now looks like a dramatic reenactment of a group chat no one asked to join. It's like watching a Broadway play where the script is replaced with Twitter rants and each host competes for the most dramatic eye roll. And Gutfeld, he's watching this soap opera from a rooftop, sipping coffee, wondering how it's still on the air. Then he tosses a grenade in the form of a segment that obliterates the entire premise of moral superiority TheView pretends to hold. It's not even that he attacks Behar, he attacks the very idea.
Is that you have to go after the racist people, and if the CEO goes, you know what, I'm not going to allow a woman on my show, or man, that will go after white America and talk about them like dogs. That doesn't represent our ideals or values for anyone. And get rid of those people, and this will clear up real quick. So do you have to actually look in the mirror and clean up your own backyard and get the racist people out? Because that's who you allowed in. You allowed black racist on TV who could just go all day and say anything about white people. And I guess lo and behold, they forgot that there's a lot of people at home, white people at home during the day, that are not watching your show anymore. So just clean it up.
Yeah.
Tyrus, ever the minimalist, doesn't need theatrics. His whole shtick is built on body language, irony, and the kind of deadpan delivery that makes you laugh before he even speaks. While Behar needs a full orchestra to make a point, Tyrus just needs a raised eyebrow and half a sentence. The message: Joy Behar expired 3 scandals ago. There's something uniquely hilarious about someone who demands to be taken seriously while behaving like a political caricature. Behar rants with the confidence of a Nobel laureate, the facts of a trivia dropout, and the subtlety of a foghorn. She's the personification of claptor, applause that comes from ideological agreement, not actual wit. The kind of noise that tells you the audience isn't laughing because it's funny. They're clapping because they've been trained to do so. Meanwhile, Gutfeld and Tyrus exist in the realm of actual laughter, the kind you get when someone exposes the absurdity you didn't realize was staring you in the face. Behar needs a teleprompter and a sympathetic audience. Gutfeld needs one camera and a punchline. That contrast is what makes this roast so lethal. Joy has been insulated in applause so long she mistook it for agreement. But Gutfeld pierced that bubble without ever needing to step inside. He laughed at the castle while she waved from the balcony, convinced she was being cheered.
It's become like a medical hospital that displays human misfailure. Like it's like here, let's look at this political oddity. You know, it's like it really is like the left-wing equivalent of a carnival sideshow, except instead of bearded ladies and fat clowns and two-headed cows. Well, let me rephrase that. The View is a victim of the sunk cost fallacy. You know, how can you now speak the truth and when for years you've been telling lie after lie after lie? Now you're carrying this big bag of rocks around you because it's too harmful for their ego to admit that we really were dishonest. And they could be honest. All they would have to say is, look, we hate Trump so much. We were willing to lie about Joe Biden because we felt he was preferable. We thought our lying and our cover-up was on your behalf. Just say that. You're still scum, but at least you're honest.
It's like The View has become a medical hospital that displays human misfailure. It's like, here, let's look at this political oddity. It really is the left-wing equivalent of a carnival sideshow, except instead of bearded ladies, fat clowns, and two-headed cows. Well, let me rephrase that. But The View is a victim of the sunk cost fallacy. How can they now speak the truth when for years they've been telling lie after lie after lie? Now they're carrying this big bag of rocks around because it's too harmful to their egos to admit they were dishonest. They could be honest. All they'd have to say is, look, we hate Trump so much we were willing to lie about Joe Biden because we felt he was preferable. We thought our lying and our cover-up was on your behalf. Just say that. You're still scum, but at least you're honest.
All that, and the price of butter. Sonny gets the game ball. If it wasn't for her, if it wasn't for her asking that question, it might have been a closer election. But when oh no, nothing really comes to mind, I was like, ching. Listen, they're bitter, they're angry, they're entitled. They also should be. This should have been a reset for everyone who pushed lies and misinformation for the last. They call them Hitler. They call these things. America rejected them, and instead of coming back and saying we lied, they instead are now doubling down. So let her keep doing it, because if she keeps that up, we're going to keep getting the Senate and probably the House and the White House, because people see.
You're watching someone call out the emperor's fashion faux pas without even mentioning the emperor. We all know who's naked, and that, folks, is comedy gold. Tyrus adds the final blow by sitting in dead silence while the camera cuts to him. No jokes, no commentary, just a look that says, I can't believe this is the discourse now. That expression alone probably melted whatever self-awareness was still clinging to Behar's teleprompter. And let's be honest, it's about time someone mocked The View without even stepping foot on its stage. That show has gone from topical discussion to a recurring sketch on how to butcher nuance with flair. Gutfeld and Tyrus don't need to appear there. They're already staging a far more entertaining version without cue cards or canned applause. While Joy tries to moralize every topic like she's delivering closing arguments at the Supreme Court, Gutfeld treats it like a cocktail party where someone brought up politics too loudly, because no one wants to be told how to think by someone who treats dissent like a disease. Gutfeld and Tyrus didn't just mock Joy, they mocked the format that keeps her employed. And they did it without even saying her name. Joy might still believe she's the voice of reason, but the joke, quite literally, is on her. The audience isn't buying the sermon anymore. They're flipping the channel to laughter, and the loudest punchlines are coming from two guys who don't need a panel to be devastating. What makes this takedown legendary is the precision. They didn't rant. They didn't rage. They roasted an idea so thoroughly that Joy Behar herself became a walking parody of everything they were mocking, not by argument, but by her own mouth.
She should, but she should. It's the only running she does. Emily! So what did you make of this? VVAC is what she called him. I don't care if you disagree or agree with him. That dude is not dumb.
No, and that is what was so ridiculous. Everything that comes out of her mouth is ridiculous, but for her to make that kind of point about someone that we all know, that regardless how you feel about his politics or him running, that he is undeniably brilliant, is so...
Because while The View pushes sanctimony wrapped in applause, Gutfeld and Tyrus deliver comedy with teeth. And it's becoming very clear which one audiences are hungry for. One offers a lecture, the other a laugh. And when people are tired of being talked down to, laughter wins every time. She never even made the guest list. That's the real punchline. While Joy Behar sat atop her squeaky swivel chair waiting for the battle horns to sound and someone, anyone, to challenge her throne, Gutfeld and Tyrus were busy roasting her legacy like a forgotten pot roast left in a daytime TV crockpot. No invitation. No RSVP. No red carpet. They simply laughed around her, nodded at her, and in doing so achieved the unthinkable, total annihilation by omission. Because here's the thing, this wasn't a duel. It was a demolition job from across the street. Gutfeld didn't need to step onto her turf. He just lit a fuse in his own studio, sipped his coffee, and watched the whole foundation of Joy's smug little empire start to wobble from afar. Tyrus didn't even break a sweat. Just a deadpan glare and a well-timed snort that somehow carried more weight than a 10-minute monologue about the state of democracy. Joy didn't realize she wasn't the main character.
Refusing to share a kidney.
I find
be
it
friends
bizarre.
with a Trump supporter. I won't give them a kidney, but I could be friends with them.
Hey, Joy, it's a kidney, not a pizza. Of course, she's kidding at first, but then she goes on to explain the moral foundation for her resentment, and it's the same one that drives all deadly ideology.
That's what stings. She expected conflict, rebuttal, maybe even a dramatic panel split-screen showdown. Instead, what she got was a roast without a guest of honor. Imagine building an entire persona on getting a reaction, and no one bothers to poke the bear anymore. It's not even fun. The bear is tired. The costumes faded. And the circus left town years ago. What's worse, the audience didn't miss her. Not one bit. Because we've entered an era where audiences are trading in the overproduced, overactive melodrama of moral lecture halls disguised as talk shows, and instead tuning in for quick-witted punches, side-eyed satire, and the occasional smirk that says more than a soapbox ever could. The cultural currency has shifted. And guess what? Moral grandstanding is no longer legal tender. TheView, once a midday coliseum for ideological combat, now feels more like a wax museum where the animatronics glitch mid-sentence. It used to be the place for hot takes. Now it's just warm leftovers reheated by hosts still pretending their outrage is edgy. Meanwhile, Gutfeld, however chaotic, feels like a messy dive bar where at least the jokes land and the bartender knows how to pour truth with a splash of sage.
Maker Johnsonville is recalling more than 42,000 pounds of pork sausage for possible contamination with plastic fibers. Fortunately, authorities were able to track all 42,000 pounds to a single location in New York City.
Audiences aren't interested in being lectured by millionaire hosts who confuse applause with accuracy. They're not buying tickets to the same moral puppet show, especially not when the strings are visible and the puppeteer is yelling. They're watching people like Gutfeld and Tyrus roast the absurdity of it all with a smirk and a shrug. And Joy? She's still yelling at clouds, not realizing the storm passed years ago. Gutfeld's forecasting the cultural weather with a joke and an eyebrow raise, while Joy's out here shaking her fists at lightning like she's commanding the heavens. Spoiler, the sky is not listening anymore. Neither is anyone else. Oh, Joy, wherever you are, probably somewhere prepping another segment where everyone agrees with you before you even finish speaking, just know this, the takedown already happened. You just weren't in the room when it aired. And you didn't need to be, because Greg Gutfeld and Tyrus didn't need your presence to roast you. They just needed your reputation, your habits, and your show. The rest wrote itself. And that's how you destroy someone without ever even starting a fight. Let's check if Joy's throne is still standing. Wait, it's just a stool wobbling on a laugh track and some badly aging opinions. Someone get the broom.